Dana had priced the RV 11 times before she bought it. 11 spreadsheets, each one a slightly different version of the same argument she was making to herself. That $34,000, saved in 22 months of overtime and a canceled apartment upgrade, was allowed to be spent on something that wasn't practical. She'd never done that before. She noticed the noticing, how strange it felt to buy a thing for no reason except that she wanted it. She told her parents on a Sunday call, expecting mild interest and getting instead a beat of silence, then her mother's voice, carefully light. That's a lot of money for something that just sits in a driveway. It didn't just sit. She had a route planned. Oregon coast down through Utah into New Mexico, 6 weeks. Alone. She didn't explain the appeal. She'd learned, somewhere in her 20s, that explaining herself to her parents rarely changed the verdict. It just gave them more material to work with. Her brother Colin had been between jobs for 14 months. Nobody in the family called it what it was. It was figuring things out, between opportunities, a rough patch. When his car got repossessed in the spring, their father had covered the gap on his apartment without being asked. Dana had noted this the way she noted most things about Colin now. Not with anger, just an ongoing tally she kept out of some old habit she couldn't name. The RV sat in her parents' side lot for 2 weeks before her trip. Logistics, insurance paperwork, a mechanic's once over. She hadn't thought twice about storing it there. That was the kind of mistake you only recognize afterward, dressed up as convenience. When she came to get it, the space was empty. She stood there long enough that a neighbor across the street paused their sprinkler to watch her. Then she went inside. Her mother was at the kitchen table, unbothered, like she'd been expecting the visit. Colin needed something reliable, she said, before Dana had asked anything. He's got that trip with his friends to Tahoe. You weren't using it yet. It's not. Dana stopped, recalibrated. I bought it to use it. Next week, it's a family vehicle now, her mother said, and there was the smirk, small and certain, the one Dana recognized from 100 smaller disputes over the years, who got the bigger bedroom, whose recital got attended, whose feelings were treated as fact, and whose were treated as inconvenience. Share it. Dana didn't raise her voice. She'd tried that before, at 19, at 26, and watched it get filed under dramatic. Further evidence that she was the difficult one. She'd learned that anger, in this house, was just more ammunition for whoever controlled the narrative, and her mother had always controlled the narrative. She said only, "It's titled in my name." "It's registered," her mother said. "It's practically the same." She left without arguing further, which her mother seemed to read as concession. It wasn't. It was Dana recognizing, with the same clarity as one of her spreadsheets, that there was no version of this conversation that ended with the truth mattering to the people in that kitchen. So she stopped having the conversation with them. She called the non-emergency police line from her car, parked 2 streets away, and gave the facts in the flattest voice she could manage. Make, model, VIN registered owner, last known location, unauthorized use by a third party. The dispatcher asked if this was a domestic matter. Dana said it was a property matter. She didn't elaborate on the difference, because she wasn't sure there was one, not really, and she didn't trust herself to explain it without sounding like exactly the kind of person her mother always accused her of becoming. She drove home. She didn't check her phone for updates. She made dinner, ate half of it, and was rinsing the plate when her father called. She let it ring twice before answering. "Are you insane?" His voice had a pitch she rarely heard from him. Not anger exactly, something closer to disbelief that events could move without his permission. "There are 4 police cars here. They put your brother in handcuffs, Dana. Your mother, too. They're saying grand theft auto. Do you understand what you've done?" She did. She'd understood it since the moment she made the call, turning the facts over once more before dialing, checking them the way she'd checked the RV's financing terms. Not for permission, just for accuracy. "I reported a stolen vehicle," she said. "That's what happened. It was in the family. It's titled in my name," she said again. The same 3 words, because they hadn't changed, and neither had the truth of them. No matter how many times her family tried to argue around their shape, he hung up on her. She stood in the kitchen a while, plate still wet in her hand, waiting to feel something bigger than what she felt, which was mostly quiet. Not triumph. Something closer to the flat, echoing calm after a held breath finally lets go. The RV was released to her 2 days later, impounded in the interim, everything intact except the gas tank, which someone had run down to fumes. Colin was cited but not charged. First offense, no priors, the responding officer's discretion. Her mother was let go with a warning after insisting repeatedly that this was a misunderstanding between family. The word family had lost some of its old weight to Dana by then. She noticed herself flinching slightly whenever her mother used it, like a word that used to mean shelter and now just meant leverage. Nobody apologized. She hadn't expected they would. Her mother texted once. 10 days later. Hope you're happy. And Dana looked at it for a long moment before not answering. Understanding for maybe the first time that this wasn't a rupture she'd caused so much as one she'd simply stop papering over. She left for the coast a week later than planned. Alone, as intended. Somewhere past the Oregon border, gas station coffee going cold in the cup holder, she caught herself doing the old math again, tallying what this had cost her, what it hadn't, whether the version of peace she'd bought was worth the family she'd apparently priced herself out of. She didn't have an answer yet. She kept driving anyway, because that, at least, had never required one.